Hi guys, here it is, my promised trip to the UK. The first part is just my arrival and a short overview. Today is Friday, the 2nd of September. I'm currently at Divadi. Tomorrow we're heading back into London. We spent a week here at this beautiful loch. Let's give you a look at it behind me. Absolutely stunning place. I landed here last week Wednesday after a reasonably uneventful although long flight. I dropped off my bags at Mandy's office. I then took the underground and I went through to the National Art Museum. Thursday I went to the National History Museum. It was something I've been looking forward to ever since I saw the DVD of the BBC series, The Museum of Life, which is basically set on the Natural History Museum. What I did not take into consideration was there was a very last week of the school holidays. The queue outside the museum must have been well over 1,000 people. They had a special that if you bought a ticket to the Butterfly Expo, you got to go to the front of the line. I took that offer. The butterfly show was quite nice, free flying butterflies, and then I got to go into the museum. After a few hours I decided to wander around London. I went past Big Ben, I went to St James's Park, and I somehow ended up passing Buckingham Palace. It's kind of drab from the outside. I'm sure it's beautiful inside. I'm not paying money to go and have a look at a bunch of old rooms. After that I met up with Mandy and the rest of the family outside Hamley's. Supposedly the biggest toy store in the world. Well, certainly 6 floors, but each floor is very small. After I met up with them, we all headed off together to go and watch Sister Act. This is where Whoopi Goldberg played the part of Mother Superior. The show was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Lots of music, lots of singing, some very good versions of songs. The only real distraction from the show was that I expected to see some of the songs from the original movie, and they had nothing of the original music. It was all new music. Friday was the turn for the Tower of London. Tower of London's a castle. It's quite a biggish castle. It's got lots of bits and pieces, a few buildings here, a few buildings there, and a lot of history. The oldest bits of the castle, or shall I say bits of the foundation, dates all the way back to the Roman occupation back in 400 AD. And people built on it, and it comes down to the castle what it is today. There's some very interesting tours there. You've got the audio tour, which is like a tape recording telling you all about the place, and you can go on the yeoman tour where they give you interesting anecdotes of the stories. You can also go use the tour book and do a tour on the tour book. I tried to do a bit of all three. I spent about 3 hours there. Got tired of it and eventually headed back. On Friday, Stephen and his parents headed off to Loch Wondervadi. On Saturday, Mandy and I followed up catching the train. We had to catch the normal train into London, a couple of tubes until we got to King's Cross. From King's Cross we caught a 6-hour train trip all the way up to Glen Eagles, and then Stephen picked us up from Glen Eagles and we went through to Loch Wondervadi. You don't pronounce the Z in the name. It was a very nice train trip. I saw a lot of the countryside. It's very green and very flat. Lots of cows, lots of sheep, some ocean views and so forth. Sunday we hung around doing nothing much, just enjoying the loch or the lake. Monday we went into the nearest town, Crieff, or Creef as we would say it in South Africa. Now Crieff is a typical small Scottish town, but it has a very important history to the Scottish people. Back in the early times, from 1000 up to 17,000, it was one of the main crossing points. What they did was they often drove cattle from the highlands down to the lowlands, and Crieff was the point where they very often stopped. A lot of the drovers, the drivers of the cattle, would sell their cattle in Crieff and then head back up to the highlands. Others would carry on down into the lowlands. Crieff is considered probably the very bottom or the very beginning of the highlands. On Tuesday we headed up towards a couple of other towns to have a look at some of the local attractions. It's very clear that you can see that Crieff is not part of the highlands, but within 5 k's we started spotting heather and a few hills, and we went up. 2 towns we went to, one was to pick up some heather gems and the second one was to go look at apparently the best little bookstore in Scotland. And it was a bookshop, but not really that great. Wednesday was another day where we just stayed at home and vegged, enjoyed the scenery, enjoyed the beautiful lake and did nothing. Thursday we chose to actually go through to Edinburgh. It's about an hour and a half's drive from Crieff. We saw Edinburgh Castle, we went into the castle, we walked around, we thoroughly enjoyed it. A little bit about the castle. It's been around forever. Also another one of those things that have been occupied since, I don't know, 3000 BC or something funny like that. First there was this type of settlement, then some locals lived there and so forth. It became a real castle from about 1000 or 1092, somewhere around about there. The first well-known king that died in it died in 1100 something. So for at least 1,000 years it's been occupied or used for royalty for one thing or another. This is the first time I got to see some royal jewels, or as they call the Scottish honours. A crown, a sceptre, a wand, which looks like what it says, and the stone of destiny, which is really just a big stone that apparently you got to sit on to become king. This stone was stolen by the British and kept in the British royal throne since 1200 AD. It was only since 1992 or thereabouts that the Queen allowed it to return to Scotland, with the proviso that it will return to London for the next coronation. After we had been at the castle, we wandered around and we enjoyed the rest of Edinburgh. Today, as I said at the beginning, is Friday. Another stay at home and do nothing day. And that is basically so far my holiday. All that's left is tomorrow, Saturday, where we'll catch the train and head back to King's Cross. Interesting thing about King's Cross, if you've read the Harry Potter books, that is that famous train with platform 9 3/4. And yes, I found platform 9 3/4. Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. That is all I have left before I return home. My original plan was to do something in London on Sunday, perhaps go on one of those tours. On Monday to head off to the British Museum to look at some mummies and stuff, and Tuesday to go to St. Paul's.